dogs. And Target is the only place you can find them and all their gear. Come join the fun and jam with us. Love is all you need.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this Friday afternoon edition of Sin's Chat Corner. Thank you so much for joining us today and listening in. I am very, very excited and very proud to announce I'm having Mr. Douglas Spain on today. He is not only a director, but also an actor, also an author. He has more titles than I can even imagine. So, without further ado, I'm going to take him off of hold, and let's get him on and let's get the show going. Hello, Douglas.
Yes, hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well. I'm very excited. I have two really important people on my show today, so I'm like, oh my gosh, you're my first one, and I'm so excited.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm excited to be here. Let's thank our good friend Rollo for making the introduction.
I know, right? This is nuts. We all know each other, and I know Joseph, too, actually. Joseph, our mutual friend, Joseph.
Julian Soria?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So it's funny how that all works out. It's
amazing in Mission Park. Just a beautifully executed performance from JJ. So we're very happy to have him, and he's a good guy. So is Rollo. I've known Rollo for a long time. We were little kids acting out on this TV show out on the beach with Michael Pena as well. It was called Pacific Blue. That's where we first met, Rollo and myself. So it's been a long time.
I imagine, and he is undoubtedly one of the sweetest people I have ever met. I mean, I met him on the Sons of Anarchy radio show because he was on my show, and he's so generous with his time, with his, I can't even say enough about him. I adore him. There's just nothing bad I could say about him ever. He's wonderful.
Really? He's not nice to me at all, so I don't know.
Oh, no! Don't make me have to go and kick his ass, because I will. I mean, I'm going to California, so I will be seeing him, so we have to be nice to him. But we're not talking about him today. We're talking about you. So I've got a bunch of questions. So why don't we start? We'll start from youth on to begin with. Were you most desirous of a pursuit in film direction, or were your aspirations more along the lines of acting, like when you were first starting out thinking about what you want to do?
Acting, yes. I began as an actor right out of high school. It was something I always wanted to do. I could see the Hollywood sign from my bedroom window, so I would stare at it longingly, even though it's always like 20 minutes away, but when you're a kid, it seems like it was miles on miles, like it was a whole other state. But yeah, it's something I always wanted to do, and my parents were very much into me going to school and not pursuing any fantasy job like acting, so I had to wait till I was 18 to pursue it on my own. So.
Sure, definitely. Because I remember that, as I've been told, actually, as a youth, you obviously started out by making home movies, actually, where you went ahead and just shot home movies. What were they about? Did you have particular themes? Were you just kind of playing around, getting a feel for it? What was that all about?
Yeah, I was playing around. I was sort of a director, DP, and writer. We would write stuff on the spot, but yeah, I would film home movies all the time. Whenever I have a big family, so whenever they would come and stay over the summer, I'd be like getting the camera out and filming just spy thrillers, Die Hard sequels. It was
so it basically wasn't a shock to the system, right?
Yeah. No, it was just so much fun. And I mean, I would even edit on the spot because I didn't really have editing software, and I was, like not even a teenager yet. So I would just edit on the camera. I was like, cut, and then do the dress up and then action. And it was pretty good for, editing within the camera and being 10 years old. So.
Oh, I imagine so. Well, and my one question I always like to ask people all the time, because it's always different for other individuals. As a child, because, of course, like you're mentioning, you have this family, were they just expecting you, A, naturally to go into this field because you were so fascinated, and then, B, some parents out there are kind of like, oh, my God, they're becoming an artist. You know what that means. You're going to be broke and living out of your car.
Yeah, that was my parents. They did not want me to pursue this career. That's why, because I had so many opportunities. I did as a child, but you need your parents' consent, or you need their support when you're under 18.
Right.
And they they just did not have the time to run around all over LA taking me to auditions, so it just didn't work.
Sure.
You know, except one time my father did enter me into a contest, and I won, and what it was at the time was an opportunity to be on a Disney show. But like we weren't very savvy there, and we just didn't know what it entailed. And my parents were like, no, what is this? You're going to summer camp. So I went to summer camp.
Well, look at you now. That's all I can say.
Yes.
Oh my
I could have
goodness.
been on the Mickey Mouse Club with Ryan Gosling and Britney Spears. Who knows?
Dear, I hate to remind you, but you've kind of gone well above and beyond, you know, Britney Spears of the world. That's just my personal opinion because we don't like Britney Spears on my show, but I shouldn't really say that, but it's true. So you've gone
but we
above
like
and
Ryan
beyond.
Gosling, so.
Whoa. We adore Ryan Gosling. We have fantasies about, we're not even going there. Okay, back to the task. Okay, moving along. Let's talk a little bit. I know that Houston is the place that you call home at present, but as you had prefaced, you obviously came from California. First of all, what is up with this? I've noticed, because I'm a friend of Douglas's, you have a birthday celebration month?
Yeah, I think one day is not enough. I have a lot of friends, and so I always utilize the month to spend time with my friends. They take me out to dinner or drinks, travel. So I utilize the entire month to celebrate my birthday as opposed to one day because it makes it very difficult to try and do so many things in one day.
Sure.
The birthday is when I just kind of chill because I myself like to be peaceful and quiet because I'm always running around like a chicken with his head off. So.
I know exactly how you feel about that. Now, that poses an interesting question because, as you know, in your particular business and field, because you are so tied up so often entertainment-wise, have you found it more difficult to keep your relationships solidified, not only with just friends, but, you know, relationships in general? How do you juggle all of that successfully?
It's a difficult thing to do because, like I said, I'm a very fortunate person that I have a lot of friends. But it does get very difficult because you're trying to maintain your career, especially now that I've become a producer of Mich and Park. It's even more difficult because the film really consumes the majority of my time. As opposed to as an actor, you go in, do the job, and then you wait for it to come out. So as an actor, I definitely had more free time. Now I have less.
Sure.
So it's kind of tough on my relationships because there's several friends I haven't seen for months. Thankfully, Facebook gives us that little like, hey, I'm still here, I still love you. And they're the same because they're as busy as well. You know, a lot of my friends now are parents, so they have their hands pretty full as well.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. I gotcha. Now, I wanted to speak to this a little bit because I know, obviously, like you said, or we both mentioned the California thing, and we all know that seems to be the magical land where most of the movies become a reality. So I have to ask you, do you find it more challenging as it relates to producing films? Because I can imagine things like, you know, casting and financing are going to be inherently more difficult being in Texas as compared to LA. Do you know what I mean?
That's not necessarily true. I think it's more difficult in Los Angeles because there's so many. The competition is higher in Los Angeles than it would be in Texas. For Mission Park, we found our investor in San Antonio, Texas, Armando Montalvo. So he came on board. One investor, which was brilliant because we wanted less cooks in the kitchen, and especially if they were contributing the majority of the money, as Armando was. And he's just been brilliant because he's very creative and he's always looking out for what's the best interest of the story. And that's been really wonderful for Brian Ramirez, the director, and myself.
Sure, of course. Okay.
But
I guess I never thought of that.
I'm in Los Angeles. That's my home. LA is my home, my birthplace. It's, you know, where I grew up. I've just been traveling a lot, and I haven't had the chance to change all the stuff. But Houston was the last place that I was at. World Fest Houston picture there. So it was that's what I was doing in Texas, collecting accolades. So.
Aha, look at this. And what wonderful accolades he has. Wait, folks, we haven't even got to it yet. I want to shift gears a little bit and maybe talk about one side of you, because obviously you have different roles. I want to talk about the author portion of yourself at the moment. Can you, first of all, do you recall, because I'm an author myself, and sometimes it's hard for me to remember the first story I ever created. Do you remember what the first piece you ever did was, and what was it?
I have like this notebook of ideas where I started writing so many things and I never finished them ever. But they're there just in case. I think the first thing I wrote and executed was, personally, that I wrote on my own, was a short film called Crazy. And it's sort of about the perception of the people who stand in the streets talking to themselves, and they look similar to the people who stand in the streets with headsets talking to themselves. And so I made a comparison in this sort of comedic short film. And that was my first piece that I actually wrote and executed. But I've collaborated with other writers, and we've worked together. I'm not the best author. I can admit that. That's something that I would need more work in. But I'm good at editing material that I receive. But as an author, I can't say I'm one.
Gotcha.
But
that's okay. That's
but you, yeah, I think, I have to. I think there's a time and place when you have to admit whether you're good at something and you're not. And luckily, I feel that just from my work that I obviously people think I'm good as an actor, and as a producer, it's discovered that I'm pretty good at as well. Directing, I think I still need some more work. There's just, it's one of those things where you look at other people and it just comes easily to them, certain techniques and talents like directing. You look at their work and you're like, wow, how did they know to achieve that? Like, I can visually see it, but it's very difficult to execute it. It's one thing to see it and one thing to get it done. So, but I'm still working at it. That's why I love this business, because it's a continuing growth. It's not like you've achieved your goal and you're done. You're constantly pursuing new and different aspects of the entertainment business.
Oh, sure, certainly. Now, typically, if I were to ask you, do you opt to, as it relates to a film, let's say, act, direct, and write it, or would you prefer the if I can just say it, do you prefer to be more so anonymous, meaning behind the camera, as opposed to in front of it?
Through doing all of them, from writing a script and directing shorts, producing shorts, and acting, I never really acted and directed myself, because I'm very codependent on directors as an actor. It's like tennis for me. I really need that other give and take when I'm out there. And if I'm playing by myself, I don't know if I can trust myself, because I'm so dependent. So I never tried it. Producing and acting, yes, because I have the director there that I can bounce ideas off of and have someone looking and making sure that I'm following the right guidelines for the overall story. So producing and acting is something I can definitely, and writing as well. But like I said, it's not my strongest talent, so I haven't pursued it as much. But producing and acting is something that I've definitely enjoyed. It's still very difficult, because even on Mission Park, when I was going to go to the set as an actor, I was still putting out fires as a producer. And it's very hard, because as an actor, I like to just focus on my character and not be distracted with the real world and the real things that I need to deal with in my life. So I think a lot of actors do. We sort of detach from the real world so we can get into the world of the character. And it does get very difficult when between, action or after cut, you're like running around, putting out fires, and then action, you're back into character. It makes it a little difficult because I need that time to get into my head or the character's head. So it is challenging, but I found that to be easier than directing and acting because as a director, you're directing so many different people. As a producer, you're just delegating a lot of the, positions and making sure that everything is okay. But, yeah, I think that personally I prefer just to do them separately if I can.
Sure.
But like I said, I was able to produce and act in Mission Park, and it came out great. So I'm very happy with it. So I'm like, I could do this.
Awesome. Absolutely awesome. Now, typically, I myself always like to have somewhat of a well-rounded chat as it relates to actors who have shared my appreciation for live theater. I just have a huge appreciation for the stage as compared to film or television. And I know this rings true for you in that you have performed in 2 productions that I know of, Gunplay, La Familia, and Sunrise in My Pocket. Question. Did you carry a sense of greater fulfillment pertaining to audience participation or acceptance because live as compared to film, like when you're doing film, you can't really see their reaction regularly?
Yeah, I mean, theater is about discipline, and also the one thing about, theater is definitely an actor's medium because once the curtain goes up, it's entirely up to you. You're in complete control of your performance. There's no editing. There's no directing during the performance itself. And that's truly powerful because you're in control of everything that you execute, playing along with the other actors on stage, of course. But you're truly, it's your time, and no one else can really dictate or direct you or, afterwards you get notes. But during the performance, it's so empowering, especially if you get that instant feedback from the audience. You're like, yes, I'm doing it right. I think the audience are the directors because you get a sense of, what they're getting off of your performance, what they're taking from that, just from the reaction. So it's a good give and take. It's really a true connection between art and audience. So, yeah, I love it. I think I'd love to do more. Los Angeles is the place for film and television, and that's really what consumes most of my time. Gunplay I did do here in Los Angeles, but it's very rare to find those pieces that you connect with, that you really want to get involved, get your hands dirty with.
Definitely.
I've been fortunate to find some. But, yeah, I think it's great. Any actor will agree that it's truly a empowering place, the theater, just because you learn so much, and it's like the gym of all gym for actors. It's the one place where you can really discipline yourself. And in acting on film and television, I think Samuel L. Jackson said it best. We act for free. They just pay us to sit around and wait, which is a lot of stuff that we do on sets is sit around and wait. Unless it's television, much faster, but the majority of the time you're sitting around and waiting for the next thing. Theater, it's constantly moving. Even if you're backstage, you're thinking, about what's next, what's going on, and staying alert. There's no sitting around and waiting. So
sure, definitely.
But those are the differences.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying that's my perspective from, between the two.
Gotcha. Is there a particular element that you can think of as far as, as you're saying, you're in the gym as far as the theater goes. Is there an element or two that you learned by being on live stage performances that you've taken away and that's actually kind of gone with you to a performance that you've done in television or in film or whatever? Is there something pertinent or specific you can recall from these experiences performing that has carried over?
Yeah, the interesting thing about theater is that you really have to break down the entire story, everything. You really have to know what the other actors are doing, what they're giving, what they're contributing. Like I said, because once the curtain goes up, it is completely up to the actors to execute the entire performance. So it's important to know what everyone is doing. In television and film, it's not necessarily the truth in regards to you don't really have to know what's going on in that scene or this scene necessarily. You can if you want, but unless you're the lead actor, you do the majority of the time. But if you're just a supporting role and you're going in for one day, you don't necessarily have to know. And that really isn't allowed, because it's a moving train and they need to do what they need to do, so there's no time for them to come in and explain or go through anything with an actor that's in it for a couple of scenes or this. And especially in film, rarely do you have time to, rehearse a lot of the times. I remember going on to a Star Trek Voyager and coming from a play expecting to go over it with the other actors, and that wasn't the case. I mean, I showed up, went through hair, makeup, wardrobe, straight to set, go. And I was like, wait, I want to discuss this, and they're like, nope, you need to have it ready, set, go. So there is that difference, and you expect that when you go to television and film. So I try to separate them because they're two different tactics, both of them. But I think what theater definitely ingrains in my, or did ingrain in me, was to do my own homework, to break down the script and the characters and be prepared so that when I show up on a television set, I've got it all down and in for that specific scene, and I'm working it. But again, there's so many things involved, from editing, directing, lighting.
Sure.
So many things that can make it better or make it worse on television and film sets or productions in general. And being behind the camera myself, you do learn more. You learn that editing can definitely make or break a film. So it isn't always about performance, where in theater, everybody works together, but like I said, once the curtain goes up, it's an actor's medium.
Definitely. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for that. Now, the next element I kind of want to cover a little bit, because I know that obviously, of course, myself and Rolando talked about this in his interview, and one of the things that I find so moving and so inspiring, I know that you had taken a personal leap for yourself at around the age of 17 by actually coming out to people that you knew. And then I know, again, I believe on Facebook, was it, that you had done the same thing, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
Okay.
I had come out when I was, I think 16, 17, and I was out and about, and even as an actor, I really wasn't concealing anything about my sexuality, and because it wasn't really important, I felt at a young age. I never thought, other people, I think the people outside make it a big deal, and for you, you're just trying to live your life and do what you feel is right for yourself. And the business sort of pushed me back into it because all of a sudden people are like, no, your image is everything and you really have to protect it, and it can affect your work. And that was the most important thing for me, is that in general, I'm a very private person. I don't like people to know too much about me in general, because it does affect, whether you're gay, straight, or anything, the minute that people know you, it affects your work. I found, because, I think the time when Ben Affleck was dating Jennifer Lopez, they were so much in the media about their relationship that I think they realized it affected their work, because now all people knew about and thought about when they went to see their films was about their love life and what was going on and where were they and who were they dating, and I think that's the same for a lot of. It's different now, or it's changing now, but definitely back then, that especially if you're the romantic lead, people like, oh no, he's gay. He's not into women. I don't believe him. And I just never wanted that because I wanted to stay true to the character, and that was the most important thing for me. So I did it for my work. I was like, well, I don't really want to announce this because I don't want it to affect my characters. I played husbands and fathers, and I didn't want the audience to be distracted by my personal life. And so it was important for me to keep them separate. I realized that. And it wasn't because I was scared or anything. It was more about the work. It was more about my characters, and I didn't want them to be affected. And it wasn't until I did But I'm a Cheerleader that I thought, well, who gives a shit? And I don't know if I can curse on here. Because the character is, a flaming queen, and he's going to let everybody know and be flamboyant and fun. And even though the story was about him being suppressed, which was, ironic, but it was one of those things. So on set, I was always myself with my co-stars and, people that I knew intimately and stuff personally. So it was one of those things, but publicly I just never announced it because I was always thinking about protecting myself and also protecting the film because one incident like that can affect the whole film, and it's a ripple effect that you affect the director's career and your co-stars' careers. The film didn't do well because, you were the male lead and people didn't want to see, or didn't believe it because your personal life and you being gay, it just was about the work for me. So that's why I kept them separate.
Sure.
And so I was playing characters, real-life characters that weren't gay. So it was about respecting those parameters. And I know it's a very difficult subject because there's so many different points of views about it. And there's definitely now this sort of coming out explosion, I would say, of people from, basketball stars to profile actors, and where it's not a problem anymore. But I still believe that for the audience, I think it's always best to just keep your personal life separate in general. But I think someone said it. Who was it? There was a director that was saying that nowadays it's all about celebrity news, So I think people are more excited the more they know about your personal life, the more successful you'll be at the box office. So it's turned around now, where before it was like, no, it's about the work and that's a good actor, but now it's famous and popular. Put them on there. The more people know about you, the more popular you are. And so I guess nowadays people are just expressing who they are and what they're doing and putting it out there because it sells tickets. So
no, I understand exactly what you mean.
Yeah, it has changed. But it's still, I like to keep my personal stuff separate from the character because I really want people to focus on the character and what I'm trying to convey, the story I'm trying to, tell. And like I said, I don't want people to be in the audience thinking, wow, what's his story? I want them to be focused on the character that I'm portraying. Even as an audience member myself, I really prefer to know less about the actor I'm viewing because I went, to the film to see the story, and some actors are very good. They stay away from the media, and I think Gary Oldman is one who you rarely see in the media, and he just
love him.
Yeah, it's brilliant in everything because you just don't know much about him, and I don't really want to know much about him other than he's a good guy and he doesn't do anything, horrible. You don't really want to support. You don't want to support people who are just horrible human beings. But in general, they're good people. That's all I need to know, really. That the actor is a good person overall, and the majority of the time, and that's it. I don't want to know where they shop, where they eat, because
what they're wearing.
What they're wearing. I'm more interested in the characters that I pay my hard-earned money to see. So I want the same for my audience. I want them to just come to the cinema to see the characters and the story and all that, and not what I'm wearing or who I'm seeing and all that stuff.
Gotcha.
But that's just me.
Now,
everyone.
I got to say, for some strange reason here, we have a call-in, so I'm betting that this person that's calling in, I'm just going to take a guess, but this might be someone we both know. I wasn't expecting this, by the way. So can I take a live call? Because I'm betting that I think we know this person. Just 1 second.
Great.
Hello? Hello?
Oh,
well, that was strange. See, they were holding for like 5 minutes. Well, I didn't want to interject with you. I thought, you know what, let me have you finish your thought, and then we can kind of move along from that point. But unfortunately, they hung up. So I guess if they really want to talk to us, they'll call back again, right?
Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to conclude on that subject, I think, that now, because I do talk about it, and I think a lot of people are talking about it, is to influence the younger generation not to take away their lives, that they can have a life and be who they want to be, and I think that's why so many of us are making this commitment to really speak out about who we are and what we prefer and what we want to do, is because there are a lot of kids out there who, I knew at a young age, it was something that it was just there, and you're like, what is this? It's so wrong, and everybody says it's wrong, and people in school say it's wrong, and why do I feel this way? Why am I bad? And why am I evil? And it wasn't until, I met other people who were like me, and when you see that there are others who are like you, and they seem to be living good lives and are happy, then it gives you strength. So being in this medium and, in the entertainment business, I can definitely reach out to a lot of people and hopefully inspire them to just live their lives and as they choose, if they want to be, or if they are gay and feel ashamed that they shouldn't. So I think that's the reason many of us are coming out and sacrificing those career choices that we're sacrificing, because we just want to live our lives and say, listen, it's okay. You can be gay and be an actor, or be gay and be a producer, or writer, or singer. You can do that, and you don't have to take away your life and succumb to the bullies and all that stuff.
I hear you.
We hear it all the time. People say fag, this, that.
I hate that.
I don't hate it. I don't mind it. When someone says fag, I'm like, yeah, I am one. So what? Call me something I'm not, and then I'm going to kick your ass. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Yeah, if you call me a piece of shit, then yeah, I'm going to, we're going to have problems. But if you call me a fag and, beep sucker, I'm like, yeah, so what? Your mom probably does too, and all this stuff. You know what I mean? It's there's nothing. I never found that offensive. It's true though. I never found that offensive. I mean, some people do. They're like, oh my God, he called me, this, and I was like, but you are that. Why are you offended by the fact that someone called you a fag? You are. I mean, it's like, and especially in the gay community, I mean, the insults among gays themselves. But I think it's that kind of, only certain people within that community can call each other names, but anyone outside can't. And
right.
I was like, you can't do that. You can't say, oh, because you are, therefore you can call yourself and your friends and insult yourselves. But
sure.
anyone who comes inside, and it's like, no. I always look at the tone. The tone is the most important thing.
Gotcha.
You know, when someone says something, what is their tone? Is there hatred behind it? Then that's something I think you definitely need to confront.
Right.
Anyway, either stand up to it and not be bullied. Difficult.
I agree.
But it's not for everybody, and you know, we can't all approach it the same way. So it's always best to find a support system. And like I said, that's probably why. And since I came out, there's been so many people who've written to me on Facebook about them still struggling because they live in communities that aren't accepting of that. You know, but I was in a home that wasn't accepting of it. So I left.
Okay.
I was like, I'm out of here. And I'm going to, you know, place myself in a position or a situation that is comfortable for me, where I have a support system.
Right. Gotcha. Now, you know what? Our caller's back. Let's see if we can snag him, okay?
Great.
Just give me 1 second.
Great.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Hi.
Hello?
Hi.
Is this Cindy?
Yes.
How are you, Cindy? I'm a huge fan of your work, and I'm a huge fan of Douglas Spain work. And I just want to say, you know, I'm a huge fan.
And what's our fan's name?
I'm sorry?
What's our fan's name?
Oh, the fan's name is Rolando Molina.
Yeah, I figured that. Okay, sorry, Pam. Hi.
Okay, the thing. No, hold on a second. Hold on, Doug. Before you say anything, okay? The reason I'm calling is, first of all, in support. You know, I'm always going to support you, Cindy. I love everything you do. Great interview with Emilio yesterday, by the way.
Thank you.
And secondly, is to let Doug know that I'm always here for him. I'm always going to have his back. You know, and I'm really happy to hear him talk about what he's talking about today.
Well, thank you. But you know, the funny thing is that, Rolo, when we were doing Pacific Blue, I mean, like,
oh, good Lord.
There was 3 of us on that set, and we were out and about, right? I mean, it wasn't like a big secret. I mean, we were just like, we were on the beach, we're totally checking out dudes.
Well, that is very true. That is very true. I think that there was an unspoken secret between Doug and I when we first met on the set of Pacific Blue, which, by the way, here's a little trivia for you. Michael Peña was actually one of our co-stars on the show. And, yeah. And anyway, so it's true. There was this certain kinship that Doug and I just kind of drew to each other, and unknowingly at the time, but by the end of the day, we knew. But at the time, unknowingly, we were both.
I think it wasn't like a secret. It was just that kind of thing of like, you know, you don't show up on set and you're like waving your penis around saying, "Look, everybody, this is what." you just.
It's not like we showed up and go, "Hey, everybody, how are you? Hey, girl, hello, world." Yeah, well, none of us did that. That's for sure.
You know, showed up in a pink bug. we didn't do that, but it was one of those things. Like, once you knew that somebody was like, you know, similar, you're like, "Hey, what's up?" Yeah, and you know, but it was like I said, in the small circles, it wasn't like we were hiding it or anything, but it was about respecting our work, and that was the most important, because once you get into character, you're into character, and your personal life is out the door. So it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think that was a consensus in a lot of our sets. Now, I don't know. Now I kind of feel like, oh, you have to show up and, you know, wave your hands in the air, and I'm just like, I still feel a little shy because, like I said, I'm there to work, and I'm not there to like flaunt my personal life in front of everybody and anybody. But there seems to be so many more people. It just happens naturally now. So. But
that's very true. I do agree with that.
Yeah. So I mean,
look at that.
But I think the only reason a lot of us are coming out and is because we're trying to reach a younger generation that isn't making sacrifices.
Yes.
We don't need.
Yes. Exactly. I agree with you, Doug, because I was on Cindy's show on Sam Crow Radio about a month ago, right, Cindy?
Right, a month. Yep.
Yeah. So, and I decided to use her forum for me to come out publicly, even though it's always been an open secret with me because, early in my career, I would go to gay clubs and people would recognize me from films that I've done, and, I wouldn't really even give it a second thought. So it was really an open secret, but, I decided to come out because all the shit that I've been seeing, these young, new generation of kids being bullied, committing suicide, I wanted to put the message out there that it's going to be okay, that, it's okay to be who you are. It's okay to love yourself just the way you are, and you were born this way. It's not a choice that you made. And, I wanted to let them know that that's why I'm here. I'm here today to let them know that it will be okay, that things will get better, and you will have a normal life. For us, this is normal. So Doug, dude, what you're doing is awesome, bro, and I'm proud of you. I don't know if I've told you this, but I'm extremely proud of you. Doug just produced his first. Well, I think it's your first full feature length, right?
Feature length.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I just went and saw a screening of it last Saturday. Amazing film. Everybody got to go out there and watch Mission Park because not only do we have some extremely talented Latino actors that are the leads, but we also have an amazing producer like Doug that brought them all together and made this whole thing happen. And I'm saying this because this came from the words of the actors. They themselves verbatim said that this happened because of Doug. And after all these years, I'm really proud of you, brother. I just want to let you know that sincerely.
Oh. Isn't he a sweetheart? You just have to love him, don't you? You have to love him.
Yeah, he's a great guy. I've known him for a long time, and we've had this relationship of. We bonded on that set. A lot of us bonded on that set, and we had we stayed friends for many years, and we knew a lot about each other and the struggles that we had, and how difficult it was to just be yourself, and definitely go into clubs. And, I used to wear shades and caps when I went to clubs, especially when the old.
But Doug, that doesn't help you, Doug, because you know what? That beautiful beauty mark on your cheek, on your lip, it gives it away. It gives it away.
Yeah, I know.
You guys are killing me, man. Hey, before I forget, since Rolando is on the air with us, let me just take this 30-second opportunity to say how proud I am of him, because last I saw he was running around that little Dexter set. Hoo-ha! Big show, huge show, big popularity.
Thank you.
So excited. But since you did call in, I know you're calling to tell me on a side note that you have arranged for my date with Kiefer Sutherland, right?
Well, I'm calling to let you know that I did put a call in. I put a call in, and I'm still hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that I will hear from him. But I like I said before, it's going to be no promises. Calm down,
killing me
calm
right
down.
Now. The guy, I know I'm like having a heart attack on air. Oh my God, do not. Well, okay, all right, I'm good.
We'll see. Yeah, calm down. We'll see what happens. Hopefully he'll have some time, and and I'll tell you, Cindy, you've been very fortunate with, especially with Emilio. Like I said, Emilio, I bet you will be more than happy to put in a good word with Charlie Hunnam and the rest of the guys of SOA.
Oh my God.
So
he's trying to kill me right now.
Make sure,
we can't finish this interview.
So make
he's
sure,
killing me right now.
No, but listen, I'm going to call in later on today, later evening with Emilio, and then we'll put him on the spot together.
You know what? That would absolutely be lovely. Just if I were you, though, make sure you get on right away. I mean, like literally. You know what? We'll talk after this show, just so that this way I'll give you a heads up on what I'm thinking and that sort of good stuff. But I really do appreciate you supporting me. I appreciate you supporting him. I appreciate what you do in the way of being so forthright as it relates to not only your personal side of things, but you're loving and wonderful to the people on Facebook. I hear it all the time about you, man, even though you may not. People really, really, really do like you, and I have an opportunity for you out there. So you need to get a hold of me later.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to go watch Iron Man right now, so I'm going to leave you guys to yourselves.
We'll just go back to this interview we're doing,
yeah. And so, Doug, buddy, I'm seriously proud of you, brother. Keep doing what you're doing. And, once you're done with all this promotion and marketing, everything you got to do, we got to get together, okay?
You got it, man, and congratulations. I didn't know that you used this medium here with somebody to come out. That's awesome, man.
Yeah. Yeah, brother. So, we're both doing it big. We're doing it big. All right, guys. A lot of love for both of you, and have a great interview.
All right, thanks.
We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Well, hey, that was way cool. I kind of figured it was him. Okay, let's get back to that professional thing we call an interview here. I want to talk to you a little bit. Let's start talking about your resume. To those that don't know you, your full resume is inclusive of just a number of things, of course. I know you've done episodic television. You've done some of the more elite programs that we find on the networks as far as HBO and Showtime. Let's take a gander at some of your work in drama, meaning your past acting experience. I know it's been in things such as Nash Bridges, CSI Miami, JAG, NCIS, and The Mentalist. Now, do you as an actor find dramatic acting roles a comfortable fit for you?
Yes, I prefer them because I just love getting emotional and crazy. I personally love them. Comedy is a much harder thing because there's so many different types of comedy and pacing. So that one's more of a challenge, but I love pursuing that as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of my work has been dramatic pieces. And I enjoy both. The more different the character and the role and the whole project itself is, the more attractive it is for me.
Sure, I imagine so. Do you find that there's ever been periods of time where you've struggled to prepare for a character portrayal? Meaning that, you had to play someone as tough?
I think television is the most difficult because it moves so quickly and you just don't have the time to develop the character and figure it out. And you sort of have to just go with what's already there, go with the flow, because if a show's been running for years, they have a rhythm that you have to jump in and join. So that's always a challenge as an actor, and I believe that's where the theater training comes in, because you just do that work before you show up on set. And sometimes you have, like, the night before, you learn, you booked the role today and they send you the script and you're starting tomorrow. And so it all moves so fast and, comes and goes so quickly. And I like to spend time. I really like things to simmer and enjoy them and do as much work. So it depends. I mean, sometimes you get that luxury where you have time to work with the actors. Star Maps, my first feature film, we definitely had a lot of time to develop the characters and the story and the scene and the relationships. And that was my first feature film. So I started out that way. And so I've always expected it to be like that. And in my initial projects, they were Star Maps, Riot for Showtime. Same, we had time to develop the characters and the relationships and all that. And then it just got less and less, until I went and did a couple plays, and it was like, oh, yeah, this is how I know to approach the project, breaking it down, rehearsing it with the other actors, getting director's point of view. But lately, it just seems to be on a quicker pace. There's just no time for that. Except recently in my last episodic that I did was Brothers and Sisters. And that really, they really took their time. I really enjoyed that project, the show. Everyone was wonderful. And, I got to work with Sally Field, so I was like, oh, yeah, let's do this. And you learn quickly what their rhythm is and what they're about, and every actor is different, and some actors really wanted to work with you, and they devoted time. And so it was a lot of fun on that set.
Sure, I imagine. Definitely. Now, to those...
that's what
I'm sorry.
I love it. The more we get that opportunity. And I tried to incorporate that into Mission Park as well. but it just it was so difficult because you're racing, the clock.
Right.
So it depends. It depends. And I think as an actor, I carry a bag of tricks, because you're going to show up to a set, and a lot of times you don't know what it is. So you have to be spontaneous and creative on the spot. Improv is one of my specialties. I really love improvisation, and I think it's prepared me for the different variety of work that I'm presented with in this career. So I'm always ready. I'm always on my feet and ready to go with whatever is thrown at me.
Sure.
And that's sort of how I approach everything. I try not to stick to one specific way of thinking or approaching a project, because not every project is the same, and not every director or every actor is the same. And I learned that as a director on the short films. I learned that not every actor works the same. Not every actor likes to be spoken to in the same way, or like in a classroom, like, this is how we're going to do it. Like sort of specific direction. And we approach work differently. Some people love to just be in character 24/7. Some are more like a light switch, like Spencer Tracy was always on and
I know.
off, And
definitely.
So, yeah. And then you have Daniel Day-Lewis, who's like becomes the character from the minute he gets the role to the last day. So everyone's different, and you have to respect that. I never judge another actor for their approach, because I don't want them to judge me on my approach, because we're all different. We can't expect to show up and do the same work the same way. And that's what makes us all different. And that's why you have some amazing actors but their technique is different. It's interesting because you'll walk to some big name actor that you've known, and it's amazing, and you're like, how do you do it? And he's like, I just show up. It's like, and you're thinking that they're like eating away at their role and like living in a cave, and some actors don't do that.
Definitely, I would agree.
So I think that, and that being behind the camera, doing so many different positions behind the camera as AD, PA, editor, director, writer, boom, operator, I learned to respect every position, every person involved in the making of a film, a television show, because they're all valuable. Sound is extremely important. So I always make sure that the sound operator and boom operator are, getting their time with me so that they can appropriately mic me and all that stuff, because every single aspect of it is important, because you want to get into character and you don't want to be bothered with a mic or anything. So you give them their time so they can do their work properly, so then you go and do your work properly. And, it's a give and take for everyone involved.
Definitely.
It's a collaborative medium. It's not one person making it. I know a lot of people like to believe that they're the ones that made a film, but it isn't. It's a collaborative effort. Everyone is important. Including the extras. They're extremely important. On Mission Park, we had wonderful extras in San Antonio, and they're there for hours just sitting around in the heat. We had a couple extras who fainted because it was so hot.
Oh, my God.
They passed out. Our medic had to run and, wake them back up, and they didn't want to leave. So I appreciate every person that contributes their time and energy into creating this art form that we call, film and television. Even in plays, like I said, every person is valuable. So, and I learned that just from walking in their shoes. You really realize, wow, this is important. And I think it's made me a stronger, more respectful actor of the medium in general.
Awesome. I want to talk a little bit before we get on to the other ventures that you have here about HBO obviously has been synonymous for its ability to provide what I think is both cutting edge and fresh new material every year. Now, I know you found yourself cast in two of their best productions, in my opinion, Band of Brothers being one of them, and Walkout, which is directed by Edward James Olmos. Two iconic directors involved with both of these projects. By working on these popular dramas, do you think that you were able to maybe further hone your directing ability by following their lead, by being able to kind of watch how they conduct themselves and do things?
Yes, of course. I'm always watching them in awe by many of them. You know, I also got to work with William Friedkin, who did The Exorcist, on the remake of 12 Angry Men, and watching him was just amazing. He was so efficient. He just moved so quickly, but he was very precise and knew exactly what to say. David Nutter was one of the directors on Band of Brothers, and I also got to work with him on The Mentalist. And I just adore him. He's just really great with actors. He just knows what to say, and he's always in a good mood, and he puts you in a good mood. And just the way he, you know, like I said, some directors are very good with actors. They just know how to talk to actors, what to say. I think my best work is, you know, seen with these directors who really pay attention to the actors and care about their performance, as opposed to thinking that we're glorified props, which some directors do treat actors as glorified props. But no, Band of Brothers was wonderful, and Tom Hanks was also a director on Band of Brothers, and he was amazing. I mean, because he's an actor himself, he just knew how to approach actors, and he was always making jokes and keeping us in a good mood, especially when it was like freezing, it's 5 in the morning, and just the comedy would keep us warm because we were laughing. So hysterically. Yeah, and Band of Brothers is
cool.
An amazing project. I feel blessed, mainly because I had the opportunity to meet the veterans, you know, these true heroes who put their lives on the line, and it was a horrific time, you know.
Sure.
And I just got to meet Tony Garcia, the man, that I portray in Band of Brothers. I got to meet his family, and they became good friends of mine. And I learned so much from this project about our history, about the sacrifices, and it changed my life. I mean, there's certain projects that, you know, can affect your career and make you a better actor, and Band of Brothers changed my life. As a human being, it really opened so many things in my life. I can't even go through them all.
Sure.
But mainly, you know, getting to know the veterans was one of the, I'd say, best parts of Band of Brothers, because you really got to hear their stories and meet them face to face. I mean, like, here you are in front of people who really made a sacrifice, you know, and I would be in the ditches, you know, in pretending, you know, obviously, doing the scenes and doing all these big shootouts, these big explosions. And in the back of my mind, I was thinking, this was all real. This was real for these men. There was never of like, oh, in like 10 hours I'm going to be back in my hotel, you know. There was never that for them. And it just was a thought that was always on my mind, always, because I just couldn't fathom, like, not knowing when you were going home, not knowing if you were going home.
Right.
Watching so many people that you knew, that you became friends with, die, you know, that it was just, I mean, there's just so much overwhelming knowledge of just what they went through. And you know, like, you really have to get into that mind thought of, like, wow, I'm never going home, you know. So it was a scary way to think about, but that's what we did. And also the actors, we all bonded really well and had a great time on that project. It was just one of those memorable projects that will never go away. I know that in history classes around the world, Band of Brothers is shown, and it's also in the military. The guys pass it around. You know, they share this series with one another. And it's the strangest thing, because I'll be like in an elevator and like, you know, someone will be staring at me, and finally I get up, like, are you in Band of Brothers? And there were like 500 speaking roles in Band of Brothers. It's a 10-part miniseries. There were 500 speaking roles, and I did have a good role in the project. But you're always like, wow, that was like 10. It was like 13 years ago. You know, it's like
sure.
Long. But they remember, because it really stays with them. And I don't see why not. It's an amazing series, and it's a wonderful story. It's a true story. So.
Definitely. Right. I want to take a minute here to when Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's one of the pinnacles in my career, so it's something I'm very proud of. Will always be proud of.
Yes, you've got quite a few of those, I must say. My goodness, we're about to talk about that, as a matter of fact. Let me just do what I call trophy time, and this is my opportunity to pretty much tell everybody how wonderful you are. Not that they can't tell by your actual speaking, but some of your actual accolades that have gone on in your career to date that I know of. I know that in 1998 you received an Independent Spirit Award nomination for Best Debut Performance, of course, in Fox's Star Maps. In 1999, you received the Rising Star Award by Marco Island Film Festival. And then thereafter, in 2006, the Cammy Award bestowed from the Character and Morality and Entertainment Awards. And wow is all I can say to all of this, my God. All of us, I think, maybe carry a certain or a fine appreciation for being bestowed an actual physical reward, per se, like in what you're receiving, these actual awards for your career. But I was wondering, is it as important to you as getting general acceptance and appreciation from your audience for your performances? I mean, to some it's like, oh, yes, you know, we want to be out there in the Hollywood spotlight. I mean, which is more important to you, or is it a combination of both?
The accolades are nice, you know, they're wonderful to get, because one is a recognition from your peers, and the other one is recognition from the audience, who you do the work for, you know, and they're different, but I respect and appreciate both. Like I said, when people walk up to me and they remember me from my work that's 10 years ago, it's always humbling and wonderful, because I feel like I connected with someone, you know, that my work as an actor with someone, and that's just wonderful. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I do this, is to be able to connect. You know, I was in acting class in high school, and I remember this girl did a monologue, and from her monologue I started to, you know, tear up. And I was just amazed by how she can make something that isn't real and affect me. And I was always moved by that. So the fact that I can now do that and create a character or storyline or something that people connect to is wonderful. And so I appreciate that. I appreciate whenever people recognize my work. And then the accolades are nice, especially the one you mentioned from the reading room, the Cammy Award, because, you know, I had done a lot of independent films that were very dark in tone, and I have, you know, a big family, and I remember an aunt of mine said, you know, your films are very dark. When are you going to make a family film we can all watch? And then I started to pursue that. You know, I started to pursue more important work. And not to say that the work I'd done prior, but, you know, a lot of the independent films that I did were very dark in tone, which I love. I love because the characters are just so rich. But it's not for everybody, you know, and I definitely wanted to do work that everybody could watch. And The Reading Room was one of those, James Earl Jones as the lead. And it was, an inspiring story that anybody could watch and hopefully move the younger audience into pursuing a better life for themselves,
Sure, definitely.
So it was nice to get an award for the, one of the first films I did, a family film that I did. It was really nice because, like I said, you start to make changes in your career and pursue different avenues, and you're never really sure if it's the right move. So when, the film does well and then you receive an accolade for that work, it's just a sign that you're on the right direction,
Definitely. I would agree with you, certainly. And speaking of right direction, obviously, to those that don't know, Norton Avenue Films, which is, of course, your production company, I know that you have the first feature film, Remains. If you could just talk a little bit about three things, the theme, the cast, and then release date on that, or potential release date.
Well, actually, Norton Avenue Films was the company I created for the short films that I did with my writing partner, Sonia Jones. And that's separate from the partnership I got involved with Brian Ramirez from Iris Pictures, who's the director of Mission Park, and Armando Montelongo, who's the executive producer of Mission Park. And that was a film that I was doing another film in San Antonio, an independent film, and I met Brian there at the wrap party, and he gave me the script for Mission Park and said, read it. And it took me a while to not to actually go through the script, but to get to it, because I was just busy with a lot of other stuff. I eventually did end up reading it, and I enjoyed it a lot. And he had given the script to me to consider one of the roles in the film. And I liked it. And then I think later on, Jeremy Ray Valdez had a successful film at Sundance, La Mission, and he approached me looking for a good script that he could sink his teeth into, so I gave him Mission Park, and he loved it. So now we had also Walter Perez, another actor friend of us, because Jeremy, Walter, and myself had worked previously in Walkout, which you mentioned earlier, the other HBO film about the walkouts in the late 60s here and in many high schools throughout the States. So definitely another one of those films that I was very proud to be a part of because it is a history of, our country, and you have to check it out. It's a great story. So. Sure. So we had 3 actors and 1 director attached to this project. And by that time, I had already done several short films, both as director and producer. So I had definitely trained myself in those arenas. And finally, I realized we needed a producer because, like I said, we had 3 actors and 1 director and no producer sort of pushing this project forward. And I said, well, let me a shot. Let me see if I can do a feature film now. I've produced all these short films. I want to see if I can, sink my teeth into a feature. And that's what I did. I got behind as producer, and together we all just moved it forward. And it was a difficult task because, the main actors are all Latino, and many people in Hollywood were suggesting we cast primarily white with maybe 1 Latino actor, and we didn't want to do that. We felt this was an American story, and Latinos are part of the American fabric, and, we wanted to tell this story with Latino faces. Because it's just not entirely Latino, but the majority, especially the leads, we felt they needed to be Latino, and they were written that way. I mean, these characters came from, they're not real, but they came from Brian's life experience. So, it's what he knew, and that's how I grew up. I mean, I would say the majority of my circle of friends were Latino, black, white, all that stuff, Asian, eclectic. Gay, even. So I wanted to just have a little more of what our perception was growing up. Right. And we struggled, I think we spent a year pursuing many different production companies, investors, distributors, and the message was the same. We don't think you'll be able to sell or make this film with all Latino leads, and we felt otherwise. So finally we met, Armando Montelongo was someone that Brian was working with, and David Nutter, actually, who was one of the directors on Band of Brothers and The Mentalist, gave us some advice, and especially to Brian, said, why don't you make a sizzle trailer of your film so that people, because we live in a visual time now, people have to see what you want to do. They don't want to read. They don't have. So he created a mock trailer. Luckily, all his actors were working actors that he had attached to the film, so he was able to collect a lot of their work and put this sizzle trailer that literally looked like the finished product of the film. Brian is really talented, and he created this trailer out of nothing. And Armando saw it and thought he had made the film already, and it's like feeling that he got left behind. He was like, what? You made the film without me? So the trailer worked. Because Armando was like, wait, I want to be a part of this moving train. And we're like, no, it's a mock trailer, but you can definitely be a part of it. And we're going to cast the leads as Latinos. He's like, well, I'm Latino, part Latino, so yeah, do it. And he definitely gave us a lot of freedom to do this project the way we wanted to do it. And he's been extremely supportive, Armando has. And, we got it made. He gave us the funds to get it into production, and we have wonderful time in San Antonio, a lot of talented, actors and crew in Texas that came on board and helped us get it made. And again, once the film was done, you think, yay, I got the money, we got the film, our work is done, and nope, you're barely starting, because now you have to deal with distribution, which is an entirely different beast. And, it was like, wow. So we were back at square one because, again, so many people screened the film, so many studios, production companies, distribution companies, and they all loved the film. They loved it. But the consensus was the same. If you had, white leads as opposed to Latino leads, we'd be able to sell this film and all this stuff. And we're like, are you kidding me? So it was the same story. And we're like, no, there's a growing Latino audience that really wants to see Latino faces in American films, which is Mission Park. And, recently Philly Brown on April 19th had a successful weekend. It really, on their own, in their own marketing campaign that they had, Philly Brown, no big studio, no nothing came in and did anything. They, through social media and through their own, publicity work that they put in, they, had a great weekend. For the amount of theaters that they were in, they had a really successful weekend, and they made a mark. The people heard about Philly Brown. And it also shows that there is an audience out there for these types of American Latino stories.
There is, definitely. I agree.
And we believe the same. So, AMC Indie loves the film, and they want to partner with us in releasing the film in September 6th to be.
Okay.
So we're going to sort of follow in Philly Brown's footsteps, and do this on our own and get it out there, and because we believe that there's an audience for it. And every festival that it's been out in, people love it. We've gotten 3 Best Pictures so far. We got one in Houston, in Miami, and Boston. So people really love the film. And most of all, they love the performances. They're like, wow, where did you get these talented Latino actors? Where have they been? I'm like, they've been around, they just...
Right. I do.
So we're really pursuing that. That's our next step is sort of distributing the film in limited theaters throughout the U.S. through AMC and then Lionsgate will release it on DVD and VOD in December. So the film's been doing well, and but it was a long journey, and we still have a lot to go, but we're very excited about the prospects that lie ahead.
Absolutely awesome. Good. Now, before I forget, I only have 2 quick things for you, and then I will let you go.
Right.
First, I wanted to cover and make sure that everybody knows this, because we want to detail everything here. Just to let everybody know, I'm going to list all of the following things, and correct me if I miss anything, please, dear Doug.
Okay.
Facebook, they're looking at 2 different places. You obviously have your personal page, which is, of course, Douglas Spain, and, of course, the one for Mission Park, which is Mission Park Film. Both are on Facebook. 2 Twitter handles that I know of, which is your personal one, which is at Douglas Spain, and also at Mission Park Fans. You are also located on blip.tv. You also, of course, have your profile on IMDb. www.douglasspain.com is your actual website. Am I missing anything?
No, I think you pretty much covered it all. I definitely, appreciate that, giving the shout-out to my social media pages. Definitely Facebook, Mission Park. Please like our page there, because this is definitely going to be a challenge for us. We have to, do a lot of this social media approach for the release of our film.
Right.
And so it helps. And I think many people will enjoy this film, and we will definitely keep you posted on its release. So definitely like our Facebook.com Mission Park. You can hit me up at Douglas Spain, and then our Twitter. I'm not a great Twitter person myself. I have to admit I don't get it. It's like,
really?
I get Facebook. Yeah, because I'm very interactive. I feel like you really can't communicate in 46 characters. So
right.
On Facebook, I enjoy Facebook because you can definitely have a conversation. You can leave a comment. We can chat back and forth. And that, maybe I'm old school, and I like to have a dialogue about what's going on, as opposed to I ate pizza today, and you're going to retweet that. So that's just my personal view. I don't get it, but I know a lot of people do, and they love it. So you can hit me up on there, but I'm rarely on there. Facebook for sure, but we definitely are very active on our Twitter page for Mission Park, which is Mission Park Fans, at Mission Park Fans, FANS. We're definitely very active in there because it seems to work for that, because that's stuff that you can post and people will follow. But just on my personal one, I'm just like, what do I want people to know in 136 characters, or what is it?
Right, I think it's about that, yeah.
Unless I want to just tell them, which, once you give me the link, I'll definitely tweet that they follow this interview, which has been exciting and fun, and definitely support you as well. I appreciate you taking the time to interview me and getting to know me, and been doing so. I'm very grateful to you, and I do much best. Yes.
Well, definitely. And the thing is I wanted to say, again, obviously, how much I appreciated having you on the show. And obviously, as much as I'm sure he eats this up, if it wasn't for Rolando, we wouldn't have met, obviously. So I, of course, have to say so much. Thank you so much to Rolando for introducing the 2 of us. I can't say enough about him. I am so pumped and excited about his stint on Dexter this season. It's just, I can't even tell you. And the nicest part about Rolando is that he's always got my back in terms of me getting introduced, I should say, to individuals in the community such as yourself, who are just so accomplished in your regard, and you're so humble about it, and you produce work that is not only good, just really, really good to watch, but you're humbled about it. You've taken all of your talents and you've extended yourself out into so many different areas. And I must say that if you do not come back to my show, I would be very upset. You must come back. You must come back and promote your projects. You must come back and talk to us about how things are going. Let us know if we can help you in some way. I am all about supporting art of any form whatsoever, whether it's music, theater, whatever have you. And I am so crossing my fingers for you on these film projects, that everything goes so well. And I am coming to California, so I am hoping that I get to meet you in person.
That'd be great, definitely.
That would be absolutely awesome.
we've connected now, and I think we'll stay connected for a long, long time. And I'd love
Oh, my
to
goodness, I hope.
Yes.
I do. I definitely hope so. Like I said, and next time you decide to have a little film production or have yourself a little film release, if you let me know in advance, I will certainly try to make it a point not only to have you on the show, but try to attend it. I mean, my time is kind of sparse, but I would love to just kind of see what the end result is of your project. I think it would be absolutely lovely. And if you find some time tonight, you know, I'm interviewing that guy from that, you know, that film we were just talking about. Mr. Emilio Rivera is going to be on my other show tonight.
Yes, I love Emilio. I got to work with him on an independent film called American Flyer. He's a great man. I'm going to
have to ask him tonight.
Yeah, another talented actor. You know, he knows me well. I know him well. We see each other and support each other. And, you know, he's also in Philly Brown. So, and he, great performance. You know, we definitely wanted him in Mission Park, but we just couldn't figure out the schedule. It was just unfortunate. We had the majority of the roles in Texas since we were filming there. Are you in Texas because you have the Central Standard Time?
No, I am in Wisconsin, actually. So I do all of my shows out of Wisconsin. But then I travel on occasion. Like I said, most of my clients and most of the people that have been on my show are New York, California, things like that. And since the other show is Sons of Anarchy relative, it kind of is begging me to end up going places and doing other things. So I'm really getting into the biker world now. So I have this wonderful show where I get to do whatever I want. And now I'm in the biker world with the other one. So I got a really cool day job because I get to talk to people like you all of the time. And I could not be more grateful to know you, to call you my friend, and to tell you that I support you in your endeavors wholeheartedly, full force. So I'm going to let you go so that you can get back to what you're doing, which is creating beautiful projects. And I'm going to get back to writing my second interview with our good buddy Emilio Rivera. So please keep me posted.
Well,
please come back and visit.
Yeah, I know that Rollo's going to be on the new season of Dexter.
I know.
And he's going to be working with Sean Patrick Flannery, who I believe is one of the series regulars, and he's in Mission Park as well. Great actor.
Oh,
fun to
absolutely wonderful. That is awesome. Yeah. Now, if he just scores me that date with Kiefer Sutherland, we're all good. Because you know I'm going to keep bugging at him about this until I get it.
He's going to do it.
The only thing I want.
He's a man of his word. He's going to do it. He's going to work hard.
I bet he is. All right, sweetheart, I will let you go. You have yourself a great weekend, and I'll be talking to you soon.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thanks to everybody listening.
Thank you, dear.
Bye.
All right, you take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, folks, that was my exclusive interview with Mr. Douglas Spain, and God, wasn't he just a blast. He is wonderful, he is sweet, he is talented, and he is just, I could spend all day long talking about his accolades. He's really established himself in the community. He's really doing some amazing, fabulous things with some of the jobs that he's done. So definitely, first and foremost, I have to throw it out there to let everybody know, please keep your eyes open for Mission Park. Again, let me give you all the ways in which you can follow that. It's on Facebook, and it's entitled Mission Park Film. On Twitter, you can follow it at Mission Park Fans. Douglas himself, of course, has a personal page on Facebook, which is Douglas, and the last name is just like the country, which is Spain, S-P-A-I-N. Same thing as it relates to Twitter, at Douglas Spain, all one word. You can check out some of his works on Blip, that's blip.tv, and of course check him out on the movie database, which is IMDb. Again, thank you so much to Douglas for his time. Thank you so much to Orlando Molina because, of course, you connected us, and for being my friend and for calling in today to talk to the both of us. To the rest of you that are listening, first and foremost, have a wonderful weekend. If you're located in the Milwaukee area, of course, my shout-out for Friday, as I do every day, please make it a point, if you can, 8 o'clock tonight. My very, very dear friends, both Matt Tyner as well as Rick Holmes are going to be at one of my favorite venues, which is Anthony's on Jefferson. That's at 8 o'clock. Or on the flip side, if you want to do both, which I hope you do, 9 o'clock, one of my absolute best friends in the entire world, Bill White and his duet partner, LJ, are going to be over at Rocco's, and they're going to be performing at 9 o'clock this evening. Third of all, and first and foremost, as it relates to importance, that would be my other show. Just kidding. Sam Crow Radio this evening, part 2 of my interview with the absolutely fabulous Emilio Rivera. And that's blogtalkradio.com/ and it's all one word, Sam Crow Radio. Please be sure to go ahead and join us tonight for his interview. Otherwise, tomorrow, 11 o'clock Central Standard Time, I'm interviewing TV personality Jason Galka. So please join me in either Sin Chat Corner, Sam Crow Radio, or both. You all have yourself a lovely weekend.
All you need is love. The Beat Bugs rock. Did you know you can only find their gear at Target? It's true. So hurry over. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need.
What you doing? I'm running out of space on my phone, so I'm deleting some stuff. Bye, singing dog. Bye, goal.
I pronounce you.
Bye, wedding ceremony.
Stop. At Metro PCS, you get 2 free phones with twice as much memory.
Really?
Don't say bye to your memories. Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free LG K20 Plus phones with 32 gigs when you switch 2 lines. Metro PCS. Wireless. Figured out.
Coverage not available in some areas. Sales tax not included in phone price. Excludes numbers on the T-Mobile network. See store for details and terms and conditions.